Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at why Rudeus Greyrat almost killed his future wife Sylphiette. But before we're going to do so, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. And right off the bat, the duel between Rudeus Greyrat and Silent Fitz, also known as Sylphiette's alter ego, was more than just a training fight. It was closely followed by the Academy of Ranoa itself, and with a great interest, since Silent Fitz wasn't just any ordinary student at the university. He was one of the two bodyguards of Princess Ariel, who had significant influence even in exile, and whose charisma had placed her in a position of power and prestige. And Fitz was essentially her elite fighter, and the idea behind the fight between Rudy and Fitz was to test the strength of the supposed worm slayer Quagmire, and see how strong he really was, since the Academy of Ranoa had invited him precisely because of his good reputation and his great achievements at a very young age, and they didn't want to miss out on such a promising talent. Instead, they sought to nurture him to benefit from Rudy's good reputation and get part of the credit for his achievements later in life, because his magical abilities and skills would reflect positively on the Academy of Ranoa, and thus enhance its very own prestige. Influence, after all, is an enormously important commodity in the world of Mushoku Tensei, and that's why in general the Academy actively sought out young talents and sponsored their study. And now, with the background explained, let's get to the proper meat of the duel. And the duel arena itself needs to be described briefly, because even in a duel between beginners, significant injuries are likely to occur, because they're flinging fire spells or something else at each other. And therefore, the duel took place within magical circles. These circles had the dual purpose of healing all participants during the fight. For example, if someone had a broken arm because they were hit by a stone projectile, they would be immediately healed, and wouldn't have spent weeks in hospital and recovery, or at least wait for someone else to maybe heal them in time. Additionally, the magical circles were also meant to contain the magic, ensuring that projectiles that missed their mark didn't tear up the ground behind the target. The stones in the walls and barriers were also quite special. They were extremely resistant to magic. The reason for this will be shown later in the new season of Mushoku Tensei, which is set to be released in April, but for now it's enough to know that even very powerful magic can hardly damage these stones. And the magical circles themselves were also at an advanced level, and therefore can withstand even powerful spells and heal serious wounds. That's why no one thought twice about letting Rudy fight Fitz, as Rudy not only underestimated himself, but also because the Academy of Ranoa had no idea about his exact strength. On the contrary, the duel was about finding out this very fact. And the other duelist, Fitz, or rather Sylphiette, was somewhat distracted because she was disappointed that Rudy did not recognize her. But that was because she had a different hair color, pretended to be a guy, and also wore sunglasses when she as Fitz was introduced. Nevertheless, Sylphie initiated the fight, but before she could cast her spell, Rudeus Greyrat interrupted it with Disturb Magic, the spell he learned from Orsted after seeing it a few times briefly while nearly dying, which was quite an achievement. In addition to this, Rudy's eye can see into the future, although everything becomes blurry after just a few seconds, because there can be so many different futures at any given moment. So thanks to this eye, Rudy had enough time to cast Disturb Magic, and thus interrupt Sylphie's spell before it could even fully form. The ability to see in the future, even just for a second, and then interrupt spells with Disturb Magic is also a very powerful combination. And since now Sylphie's spell was interrupted, and she had no idea what just happened, because Rudy underestimated how rare and powerful the spell Disturb Magic truly is, and that this is not a commonly used spell that just everyone can learn. Furthermore, Rudeus was used to quite the harsh battles. Excluding Orsted, he fought duels with Ares and Rudeus. He knew life on the demon continent and their monsters, and as an adventurer he had killed a worm with his stone cannons. In other words, the stone projectiles he fired were way too powerful for training, and had Rudy not decided, more or less on a whim, to correct the trajectory of the projectiles at the very last second, Sylphie's head would have simply been pierced through, and no healing magic could have helped her anymore. But as it happened, it was just a graze that still knocked Sylphie completely shocked to the ground. And so, Rudy's stone projectiles naturally continued flying and hit the ground behind Silent Fitz, which remember was very resistant to magic and had many protective circles drawn onto it. Nonetheless, the stone cannon was so powerful it created an enormous hole in the stone, at least in the light novels. This alone left the spectators shocked, and Rudy now felt guilty, fearing that he had embarrassed a powerful and now possibly vengeful man at his future school, and therefore he pretended as if Fitz had let him win and promised to pay him back, which eventually he did, in his very own way, with another stone cannon of his. And although the whole thing was based on self-doubt and a certain uncertainty, and Rudy still suffering from scars and psychological problems hailing from both his old life, him being abandoned by Ares, and his lost battle against Orsted, it was a very good decision, because Fitz, who had been personally trained by Rudy since childhood, and had been mistaken for a guy by Rudy for the second time, was a powerful tool of Princess Ariel. For example, when Linnea and Persina clashed with the princess and demeaned her, the situation over the course of a single year escalated into open combat between Linnea, Persina, their 20 henchmen, and Fitz on the other side. And Silent Fitz defeated the two, dismantled their gang, and thus established Princess Ariel's dominance at the academy, gaining the princess a massive amount of prestige. Oh, and if you're wondering why there were no consequences for Linnea and Persina, well, both of them are princesses themselves, and therefore they had significantly more leeway and privileges than just the average student, simply because their lineage holds power over entire nations. And the same goes for Princess Ariel. And that is also why it was very important for Princess Ariel that Rudy pretended afterwards that Fitz had actually let him win, just so both Fitz and Ariel could save face. And now it is your turn. Let me know your thoughts about Rudy's duel with Sylphie and the accident that almost happened down in the comment section. And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Other Daddy Other, ASK, Bad Guy Yi, Bad Burrito 316, Bizarre, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Love Razor, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantom, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Kyone Karakos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Zenukai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.